Hello everyone, Loremaster of Sotek here, back with a video that I'm sure many of you have been waiting for. I know people have been asking me about it, and I apologize it took us so long to get around to it. But we did wrap up the Karak 8 Peaks speed run a couple weeks back, and there were some winners. So we took care of that, sent out all the prize money and all that stuff, but I finally now have some time to sit down with these gentlemen and kind of talk to them about their experience with it, how they figured out to get the best runs possible, and of course I will have recordings of those runs where you can find them and watch them and enjoy them. But first, we have a very familiar face. If you followed the first speedrun we did, we have here Anticity, who was actually the winner of the Eltharion the Grim speedrun, and now he's back as the winner of not one, but two of the Karak 8 Peak runs. Almost three, actually. But he managed to pull off being the fastest run for both the Bellegar run and the Queek Headtaker run, which is just nuts. But since he did two, we'll go ahead and just start with Bellegar, because that's just the first that comes to my mind. So, first of all, Anticity, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing great.
Awesome, and I'm so glad to have you back here with us. You seem to be doing pretty well in this speedrun format.
It's mostly just time, I feel, and a bit of multiplayer practice helps too.
Oh, that's great. So let's go ahead and start with the Bellegar campaign. So for those unaware, the purpose of the speedrun contest was that you had to play as either Bellegar, Skarsnik, or Queek Headtaker, and you basically had to get to Karak 8 Peaks and capture it by any means necessary as fast as possible. So that's all that mattered. It didn't matter how much territory you had, what level you were. The only thing was you had to play it on legendary difficulty, so legendary campaign, very hard battle. So the highest difficulties. You weren't allowed to use any mods, and you had to somehow capture 8 Peaks as quickly as you could, which for most people would probably take a decent amount of time. But Anticity, why don't you tell us how long it took you to do Bellegar, and then why don't you... Well, first of all, let's do that. How long did it take you?
If I remember correctly, about 6 turns.
6 turns. Just madness. And why don't you walk us through... So first walk us through what your initial approach was. Like, when you heard about this and you started working on Bellegar, what did you think you were going to need to do? Or what were your, like, first attempts, if you recall?
So first attempts, I think I just tried one wave of recruitment, since I knew the ancestor heroes were pretty strong. And then after that, it was just marching straight to 8 Peaks. And yeah, trying out the fight. And from there, just whittling it down. If I won the battle with extra units, I knew I could cut them off. And that was the general process.
All right, great. And do you remember how long, like, your first few runs took, turn-wise?
Turn-wise, I don't think I ever went past 8 turns. I knew everyone in the tournament was pretty capable. So anything over, like, anything longer than just going there directly, I knew would sort of just be a waste of time.
Okay, fair.
So
And how did you get it from 8 turns to 6 turns? What was the discovery or the tactic that you ended up finding? Because surely there's an exploit in there. So what was the exploit you ended up discovering and leaning on to get that super fast time?
yeah, just really really bad CJI basically. The tactics stayed the same too throughout. It was just getting more efficient at it. And that's just standing outside of the gates and baiting the AI one unit at a time to come through. And some full surrounds later, you can take them out with very few losses.
So at that point, were you just like getting the ancestor ghosts and like just a handful of units? You'd lure them out of the front gate with like Bellegar or something, and then just slowly but surely beat them to death.
Yeah, exactly. The important part is making sure as many of your units can fight as possible, since when they come through, if you get a full surround, it's a lot more efficient than just fighting at a choke point.
Right, right, because you get that bonus leadership damage from hitting them from multiple sides, I assume, and stuff. Was there? Do you think there was anything you could have done to get it below 6, or was 6 mostly just like getting to Karak Eight Peaks, and then once you were there, you were fine?
Yeah, 6 was definitely the fastest possible. Um, since you're basically force marching there every turn and moving the maximum distance, and any slower and you wouldn't even have the extra movement left to attack the city. So I couldn't really imagine getting there in fewer turns.
Okay, great. Well, I'm sure Bellegar would have been extremely pleased at getting to Karak Eight Peaks that quickly in his actual story. Probably would have saved him a lot of grief and hardship. So Bellegar seems like that was pretty straightforward and not like it was more of just getting there and then kind of doing a nice repeat method. So let's talk about Queek. How fast did you manage to get Clan Moors to take over their home base of Karak Eight Peaks?
Clan Wars. That was a turn 6 or 7 win, right? I think it was 7.
I, yeah, I have turn 7 looking at it up here,
Yeah.
which is pretty quick still.
But surprisingly, the shortest, the longest run out of the three.
Yeah, so what was it about Queek that, because I'm sure most people would think, well, okay, if the goal is just to get there fast, Queek has technically the shortest journey, or at least you think it is. I'd have to double check if that's actually true. I think it's the shortest trip. So what about Queek made it actually take a little longer than the other two?
So the distance is actually the shortest out of the three of them. But it's mostly just that because of the sort of the river to the left of Eight Peaks and the mountain range blocking it. Um, you spend one turn basically directly beside Eight Peaks when you do the when you when you move through the underway. And sort of all the extra movement you have on turn 7 is sort of just wasted, and that's really where most of the travel time is lost.
Okay, so looking at Queek Headtaker's actual like run and strategy though, well, what was your initial thought? Because you do start with an undercity beneath it. Was there any incorporation of that into your design of trying to get like any of those upgrades from that building to that fight, or was it once again a situation of just beelining straight there and trying to exploit the AI?
Initially, it was just beelining it straight there. I tried some things with the underway that didn't work out too well. And there was a strat posted really early where you can just use warp grinders to win the whole siege battle without any losses, really. Um, but just being a little bit suspicious and worrying about the turn timers getting lower, eventually that changed over to using the Skaven Undercity, and not spawning the army, but getting the warp bomb ability, which is what
Oh,
really
okay, so
killed it.
you can get warp bomb on the offense.
Hmm. And I thought initially the warp bomb would, I could just cheese the AI, get them to clump up and take them all out. But the siege AI is actually pretty spread, which meant that didn't work out too well until I rediscovered the siege attacking bug, where you can do a siege battle multiple times, and thanks to that, the warp bomb is enough to carry you through.
Okay, so walk me through that. What is this siege attacker exploit?
Yeah, so basically you do the siege battle, and and on the timer too, at 20 minutes. And when the timer goes down, the battle I think is a draw. So neither side really wins, but if you unsiege and re-attack, you're able to do the battle again, at the cost of a little bit of movement.
Okay, and what's the purpose of doing it over and over again? Is there like, is there, what was your objective with doing it multiple times?
Well, the objective was the warp bombs. So at bare minimum, with 3 warp bombs, you can take out 3 units in the city, and you have enough movement where even pretty inefficiently you can get that done.
Okay, so would the goal be you'd like recruit, so you have like a 20 stack of slaves or whatever, you go up there and then you just run in, drop 3 warp bombs, leave, run in, drop 3 warp bombs, leave, and just do that over and over until the defense is gone?
Yeah, exactly. Except without the slaves, since you're just beelining it there as quickly as possible. And um, mostly, I think the strategy coming in was trying to get it done quickly, since the turn time has actually been brought down to its lowest.
Right, so then it defaults to like actual speed or stuff like that. Um,
Yeah.
oh, okay, so you were using the summons, right? The like the 3 bonus units you get or whatever.
Yep. And there's also an undercity, um, what's it? There's an undercity building you can get, which gives you like 10 more clan rat summons.
Good grief.
Yeah. And that helped quite a bit. You can the actual like main strategy to get it done quickly. You would use the summons on the archers. You would bomb the main gate, since that's where most of the units would clump up. And you use the warp lightning cannon to break a hole in the wall, so you can start shooting over.
Very, very nasty. So, wow. Okay. Yeah, I like how much more involved that one is. Like the Bellegar run is kind of just a run in and tank and spank, but I like that the Skaven run actually has some pretty sinister Skaven schemes that require a bit of involvement.
And
Would,
it's oh,
oh no, go ahead.
okay. Well, it's there's a lot you can do to speed it up too. So you have your unit of slingers, and you can do the same strategy as the Bellegar strategy too, once you have the hole in the wall. Also, the placement of the warp bombs is very important. Missing one can mean you have to spend a whole another 15 minutes attacking the city, and also summoning on top of archers was very finicky, and would also save you a lot of times if you could summon right on top of some stealth goblins, let's say. So there was a lot to do. It was pretty fun.
That's great. So what was it that so when it comes to I guess the exploit I want to focus on next is when it comes to luring the AI out of the gate or the wall, what is the I mean, I'm sure I'll have some footage of it up, but like what's the exact method for that? Is it like you have to send in a character to kind of love tap them and they'll follow you a little way out? Or how do you get the AI to reliably come outside?
Yep, exactly that. So sometimes you don't have to actually get into attacking range, which is best for saving HP. You just go slightly past the door, which tends to aggro them, and then you run back with whichever character you've sent in. Uh,
That's great.
and sometimes if they decide just not to move, one attack from your character will do.
The glories of that oh so intelligent involved CJI.
Yep. And they'll follow you all the way out to basically the whole unit before they start heading back in.
Awesome. And when you mentioned that for a warp bomb, it's important to have it placed correctly. Could you go into a little more detail about what you mean by that?
Sure. So the warp bomb, well, the explosion is enough to kill about a full unit's worth, but the reason you have to place it properly in at the gate is because your clan rats will route so quickly that you can't actually get the bomb off while they're still in combat. And if the units aren't in combat, they tend to disperse while chasing. So you needed to put the clan rats in a place where they would take as much damage as possible before routing.
Mm-hmm.
And that would usually be on top of orc big guns or black orcs. Even that, it's not as simple as just putting it on top of them, because you want the other units to aggro too. Typically the best place would be slightly behind whichever unit is guarding the gate. And that way, those units and all the units behind them will get a nice surround on the clan rats and make sure they don't run anywhere.
Yeah, because I've noticed that in my own playtime that sometimes if a unit breaks, like you go for a warp bomb and then like the entity it's on will die suddenly, so it like shifts to the part of the unit that's running really really far away, and you just get like a whiff.
Yeah, very frustrating. And it gets harder too as you get fewer and fewer units at the gate. They just don't do enough damage to the clan rats, and they rout at like 60% health.
Okay, so between the Bellegar and I suspect I know what the answer is, but between the Bellegar and Queek run, which would you say was more challenging?
Oh, more challenging. I thought you were going to ask which one was longer, but challenging. I think there was definitely a lot more skill that went into the Queek run. Bellegar run is more a matter of patience and time, which is a challenge in and of itself. But
Right. Mm-hmm.
I guess I would say the Queek run is more challenging if you want to do it quickly.
Yeah, well, it seems like with Queek, like you have a lot more tools, but at the same time, there's a lot more you can screw up.
Yeah. But worst case, with your extra movement, you can just play the battle 5 more times, let's say, and that would be more than enough warp bombs to win you the city.
So I'm assuming though, based on the descriptions, I'm assuming Queek was a more enjoyable experience though.
100%.
Poor dwarves. No, dwarves are always such a slog.
Yeah, mostly because the Bellegar run, to get there fast enough, you had to march uh, right in range of Karak Eight Peaks. But the second orc army would often just come out and wipe out your like stack of 12 dwarves.
Oh,
And
so you had was there like a luck aspect of like trying not to lure out the AI too early?
yeah, there's a position you can be in, which can help sometimes, but eventually it came down to just one run. The second army simply wasn't there.
Oh, so it was literally just like God smiled down on Bellegar run for half a second.
Well, I wish they were smiling for the other runs because it took like 50 plus runs of just going there over and over again and getting uh, and losing on turn 5 after spending like 10ish minutes on the run.
Oh my gosh.
So it was very much a time commitment. And Queek, on the other hand, you can finish in like 10 minutes, I think.
So
So
I
yeah.
guess what I'll ask then is because I think you thought I was going to ask this earlier, but now I will, because I didn't realize that Bellegar had that much like trial and error to it. Which run took the longest amount of time to get like a run you were comfortable with?
Bellegar for sure. I spent 2 or 3 weeks just grinding out the Bellegar run.
Good lord.
And the Queek run, I was pretty comfortable like half a week in, uh, just because I could play it so many times and perfect the run really. I got pretty confident that, well, I was confident for sure that no one could get there faster. Um, and after I brought down the time to like very very low, and getting lucky to during that run with the warp bombs, I was pretty quickly confident about it.
So for Bellegar, when it comes to avoiding that second army, was it like there was a time that you managed to avoid it, but it wasn't as fast as you wanted, so you kept trying to get it again? Or was it that you kept getting hit by it, but somewhere in your head you're like, there has to be a way to get past these guys?
So way back when I was on 7 turn Bellegar runs, the I was in a position just far enough away from the city where the army couldn't come out and reach me, and I had done some investigating earlier to figure that out. I found that the army had a chance to ambush in front of Eight Peaks, and interestingly enough, and I'm not sure if you saw the submission because it was only 7 turns instead of the 6 turn one. but there was a bug where I could sneak past an ambush stanced army.
Say what?
Um, yeah. So I looked at the video, and when you attack the city, mid movement, I clicked the city again before I passed their ambush area. And my army just walked right through.
Oh my god. Really? So it triggered the walking up to the city animation in the midst of their ambush area, so it just like skipped over it?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what happened.
Yeah, it sounds like a rare bug. I mean, because usually, as much as players love the strategy of ambushing in front of their cities, the AI usually doesn't do that very much. That's really funny that that's there's actually like a bug involved with it.
Yeah, so after I saw that happen, I just figured I can try getting that to happen again. Although after the update, it seemed like the AI just wasn't game for ambushing, even if I found that perfect distance away from the city. And the reason that worked too, by the way, was if you stack enough movement buffs on Bellegar, you can move further than the second army, and in doing so, you can place yourself just out of their range of attack, um, which would get them to ambush pretty consistently until the update.
Interesting. Uh, and that's another thing worth talking about for a minute is that of course this speed run challenge took place over almost the course of a month, and there was an update that came out in the midst of it just to spite everyone. Did that update have any like beyond causing the AI to no longer ambush in defensive action? Was there any other like notable issues or changes that happened when that update hit?
I think for the Bellegar and Queek runs, the Bellegar I was most worried about since the way the AI acted would affect it the most. The Queek run I was less worried about since the actual process of getting there was very fast, and there were no really tight variables or RNG in there, so that didn't really affect the Queek run too much. But of course, and I'm sure we'll talk about it later, the Skarsnik run wouldn't even be possible since you would what's it? There was a bug where you couldn't confederate if you unless you auto resolve the battle.
Oh wow. I'm sure Axiom will talk to you about that. But we should talk about the Skarsnik run a little bit because you attempted all three runs, not just two. Because nobody was required to submit all three. They could just submit one or two or whatever. But let's talk about the Skarsnik run a little bit. You had the second best time. Axiom only managed to slip in there literally, I think, like the last day with a slightly better run. So how did you feel about the Skarsnik run?
So Skarsnik, I was pretty resigned to just let it go by to Axiom. Um, Knowing him, I was pretty confident he would be able to just take the run. But after he submitted what's it? I think like turn 7. I thought I might as well just try it out, see if I could figure out what his strategy was. Um, and I did eventually match a turn 7 run, thinking that I found his strategy, but it turns out we actually had two completely different ways of getting there in 7 turns.
Oh really? So what was your method? And we'll have to compare it against his later.
Let's see. Well, I think it was actually 8 turns, it was +1, but he what's it? My strategy was what's it? You underway out to right beside one of the Empire cities. You attack it to get the movement speed buff, and then you just march stance all the way into the Badlands, but through Empire territory, past Vampire territory, and then down.
Oh man, okay,
Uh,
so you like underweight out of the mountains, attacked a city to get a little bit of a boost, and then just force marched the rest of the way?
yeah. So it was pretty simple. Along the way, you had to pay off some dwarves to make sure they didn't attack you, since uh, they would very consistently attack you if you didn't up the up their diplomacy rating.
Oh, so you literally were like bribing the dwarves not to leave you
Yeah,
alone?
and I thought that was just amazing for Skarsnik especially.
Yeah, that's like actually interesting diplomacy happening in Total War Warhammer. They said it. They said
Uh-huh.
it couldn't be done.
And then at the very end, you wouldn't be able to make it there any faster without doing this. You have to underway a stance into a little nook right above Karak Eight Peaks, which will give you the underway battle for Eight Peaks, even though you're on the other side of a mountain. And
Interesting.
yeah, it's just big enough. Any further away, and I don't think that works. But from there, you put Unbreakable on your squigs, and you can just outrun the enemy orc army until the timer runs down. And for some reason, underway battles, when the timer runs out on them, you win the battle, which just gives you the free confederation, and then that's the win.
So just to be clear, this was not a siege battle. This was the AI caught you in underway stance battle,
Yep, and that's how it ended.
but it counts as a win if you run out the timer.
Yep.
Oh my
It doesn't
gosh.
work for sieges, but for underway, that's all you need to do. And it wipes out their army too, completely.
What?
Yeah. So you could wipe out 20 stacks with just a single goblin, if you micro well enough.
That seems well, this game has a lot of problems. What's one more? Wow, that's amazing. So we've been talking for a good while here, so I'll go ahead and cut you loose. But thank you very much for participating. You're practically undefeated when it comes to community challenges. I'm gonna have to think up something special to really mix things up. But congrats again on your wins for Queek Headtaker and Bellegar. You walked away with if I recall correctly, $300 cash prize, and you took the Coast of the Vampire Coast as your free DLC when provided by Creative Assembly, if I recall correctly as well.
Hmm.
So hopefully you've been enjoying that. And also big thanks to Legend of Total War for helping match support the prize pool. Always appreciate him being the sugar daddy for these events. And I'm sure we'll definitely see you in the next one if I had to guess.
Awesome. Sounds good. And thank you for hosting once again. It was a very wonderful tournament and a great month of grinding out Bellegar runs.
Sure. Sure it was. Okay, so we'll hop over to talk to Axiom here in just a moment. All right, welcome back, folks. So we just wrapped up a little bit ago with Anticity. So now we're going to be talking to the other winner here in our community event, the man who managed to snipe Anticity from doing a full sweep of everything so far, thank God. So, Axiom Razor here is the gentleman who managed to claim the best time for the Skarsnik run. So, real quick, I think to start, Axiom, why don't you walk us through what was your, let's say, initial starting strategy when it came to how to approach the Skarsnik run? Like, where did you start with that?
So I started by just trying to get a big army there and do the siege kind of the normal way, and that was before they came out with the patch that actually fixed the Confederation mechanic. So halfway through this challenge, there was actually there was a small patch that actually fixed confederating, whereas before that wasn't really an option. I think the only way to actually get the confederation would have been through an auto resolve victory, which you can't really cheese. But after they fixed that, I thought that maybe somehow if I could get get a battle with I think it's Morglum Backstabber, the the faction leader of the Crooked Moon Mutinous Gets. If I could just get into a battle with him and just somehow win that, then I could get the Confederation. And that became my strategy. I was able to figure out a way to do that using the underway, using nasty skulkers, using a special banner that only Skarsnik gets that allows one unit of goblins to be unbreakable. And I just kind of kept refining that down, and got it down from 9 to 8, 7, and then eventually just turns.
So you got it down to 6 turns. And was when we talked to Anticity a little bit about his experience with the Skarsnik run, was the goal to have the AI catch you in the underway, or did you like engage him in a siege? Like, what kind of battle did you try and trick the AI into attacking you, or did you attack him? And either way, what kind of battle did you lure him into, and what was your strategy in that battle to walk away with a win?
Yeah, so the strategy is to trick the AI into engaging your forces in the underway. And as long as your army is significantly weaker than theirs, the AI is very happy to attack you. So what I ended up being able to do is in order to get it on turn 6, you have to do 2 other confederations first. So you have to buy a confederation with one greenskin faction. I forget their name, and then you have to basically do the same trick with Grimgor to get Grimgor to confederate with you. And then you have to get a bit lucky, and Grimgor has to have an army that you can then use on the same turn in order to trick Morgan Backstabber into getting into a fight with you. So you really have to take advantage of several different exploits and cheeses at the same time in order to make it work.
Okay, so interesting. So
Yeah.
you went with a multiple confederation front. So I'm guessing you confederated either the Scabby tribe, which are the guys north of Grimgor, or the Black Venom tribe, which are the guys around Karak Eight.
Yeah,
But
the Black Venom tribe.
so you basically had like a bouncing confederation system to get down to Karak Eight Peaks. It's actually super interesting. Most people just kind of ran straight there. What was the idea behind going for more of a confederation approach?
Well, it's just the fastest way to get there. If you run straight there, the fastest possible time to get there is turn 8. If you confederate one faction, it's turn 7. If you confederate 2 factions, it's turn 6.
Oh, that's a really cool find. And so you mentioned that there was a little bit of luck involved. Because I imagine, so you essentially had to move something close enough to Grimgor to trigger him to fight you, and then defeat Grimgor by cheesing it, and then hoping that he had another army that then you could take to Eight Peaks?
Yep. So basically, if those conditions weren't met, then you just had to restart the run and try again.
Do you have like a rough estimate of how many runs it took you to get that perfect run in?
I probably did somewhere between maybe 40 and 60 runs total before I got it right.
It's pretty
that's
decent.
just in total for all of the attempts.
And did you,
Yeah.
because we talked about earlier with Anticity that everyone was able to try any of the runs. Did you just kind of beeline for Skarsnik and decide to focus your effort there? Did you spread around a little bit? What was your kind of experience with the overall Karak Eight Peaks race before you settled in on that Skarsnik run?
Um, I did put a bit of effort to sort of see if I could compete with Anticity for the other runs. Um, However, I just judged that that would take too much of an investment in time and energy that I really couldn't afford to do that. I really had to focus on just one. And I think Anticity did a pretty good job minimizing the time and turn count for the other runs. So I didn't see any exploits that he didn't think of that I could have taken advantage of in order to beat him on those. So so I didn't really try very hard on those runs. I don't think I didn't submit anything for those runs.
Well, that seems to work out for you, because you did manage to kind of snipe that Skarsnik run at him from him near the end there, which I imagine that felt pretty good to kind of, because I got your last run kind of like on the last day, the second to last day, something like that. I imagine there was some relief or excitement about kind of sliding in under the door at the last second there.
Yeah, I had that run ready a few days before that, but Anticity and I were already kind of going back and forth on the Skarsnik run, and I did not want to let him know that turn 6 was possible.
Clever strategy. Legend did something very similar at the end of the last one, but well, that's awesome, man. I'm hoping overall it was a positive experience and not too much of a slog. But I once again just want to say congrats. You know, you get to walk away with $150 and free key, which what you did, what, Vampire Coast, or
Yeah, Vampire Coast.
which is awesome. Thanks to Creative Assembly for providing that. And any final thoughts or words before we pack up here?
No, I'm just looking forward to the next challenge. I think it's been a really fun and positive community that's been building up around the speedrun challenges these last 2 months. So thank you very much for that.
Well, awesome, dude, and thanks again so much for participating. I'm really excited to see what you're all going to be doing in the next one. So we'll go ahead and let you go, my dude, and I'll wrap up things here. Thanks so much for coming by.
All right, thanks for having me.
All right, so now it's just you and me, folks. I hope you all enjoyed this video. It was a pleasure to get to talk to both Anticity and Axiom Razor. I do want to note that I will have links down in the description where you can find their respective channels. I think both of them have recently started up YouTube channels, where I imagine they're going to keep submitting their runs as well as doing other types of content, and I would really appreciate you guys to go check them out and support them or get to know them and see if you'd like to, you know, subscribe and become part of their communities. I really would like to help get this aspect of the community off the ground, and you know, I'll be doing my best to do that. Hopefully, I'm really hoping we can get to the point where we can get these folks regularly live streaming their runs. That way you can watch them attempt it live. I think that's the dream, but that takes some practice, and getting used to live streaming is not super duper easy. You know, you have to get like if you don't have the best PC, then you have to get a capture card, or you got to upgrade your PC, and it's a whole mess. But anyway, this was a ton of fun. I enjoyed the Karak 8 Peaks run. I was glad to see how much the community was active during the run. It lasted for around a month, and there was a ton of interaction over on the community contest Discord, which I'll have a link to as well in the description down below. Those guys, there was some pretty interesting stuff going on with them working with each other. I mean, some people were keeping their, you know, Axiom Razor, we heard, kind of kept some secrets close to his chest till the end, but there was a lot of people who were actually working together and providing information because maybe they knew they couldn't win the run, but they wanted to be a part of the winning run or something like that. But it was pleasing to me to see how nice and kind and active the community has been on that. In any event, I do want to note that there were some giveaways during the event. Some people managed to win some free keys, because while each of the winners, both Axiom and Nitty, were given a DLC key of their choice, Creative Assembly also provided me with a handful of extra keys that I gave away to individuals who just submitted a run. And that will be going on in the future. So for the next event that comes up, I'm going to once again be drawing out of a hat once the winners are determined, so they don't get picked twice. But as long as you submit a run, even if you're like the worst run, you have a chance of winning some prizes. And I'm going to keep doing that in the future to try and incentivize people to get involved and participate, even if they don't have a chance in hell, for instance, of beating the likes of Anticity or Axiom Razor. I already talked about going to their channels. I do want to give a big shout out. I already kind of mentioned it a few times, but thank you very, very much to Creative Assembly for providing DLC keys that were part of the prize pool as well as the giveaways. And another big thank you to Legend of Total War, who in both challenges has provided a significant amount of the pot for the cash reward. This time we gave away about $450 US, and he was very generous enough to match me on that, so we were able to give away a really sexy prize, and hopefully we'll continue to be able to do that in the future. So I really, really do appreciate his support, and if you haven't already, you really should go check out his stuff, because of course he is the Cheese Master, and it was honestly watching his live streams and watching his content that first gave me the idea of even doing this. I was kind of watching him and go, why don't we do this as like a community thing? Like, you know, watching SGDQ and stuff, and it's like, we could do that. I mean, it'd be a little janky, but, you know, you got to start somewhere. But in any event, I hope you're all doing well and safe and sound. This is the conclusion of the Karak 8 Peaks Speedrun Challenge. There will be a new challenge announced very, very soon. I'm not 100% sure which one I'm going with yet, because I do have a couple, but I'm hoping to do something a little different, something that does not require, something that is not as speedrun centric, but still requires much skill and manipulation of the AI. You know, you're still going to be looking for exploits and cheats and stuff. But in any event, that's going to be it for me today. I will, down in the description, I'm basically going to link all of the runs, so you can go watch them. I'm gonna have them unlisted on my channel, so you can tune in and watch those. They won't be monetized or anything. You can just go watch those and enjoy them here on the channel. But I will also include links so that you can find the original channels they're uploaded on and go watch them there if you want as well. But, well, I guess I won't have them unlisted, but they won't be monetized. They'll just be there for the funsies. In any event, that's going to be me for today. Thank you all so much for coming by. I hope to continue to foster this community and hope to get to kind of explore new dimensions and ways that we can make Total War Warhammer exciting for people to play and to watch in ways that they may not expect. And until next time, stay safe, wash your hands, and I'll see you next time. Bye.